before we go to make a rat wake bait. Yeah, you buy your copolymer clay. Get copolymer, don't get air bake. Then you can use, a cutting tool or a blade, whatever you prefer. Or you can just break it off with your hands. And from there, you got round edges on here. Help make things round. You got bottoms of cans that you can kind of roll your clay into to get round shapes. You can use, rollers to roll over it. And that's ultimately how I got from that to that. This will be the midsection, the actual stomach to rear legs. So I'm kind of just getting the shape I want. A little round here, a little more taper here. The head will be connecting here, and then I'm gonna have a third piece that will actually be the butt and what holds the tail on. But yeah, I've just been rolling it, batting it, rolling it. And then this dish kind of it's concaved a little bit, it's plastic. And it warped in the dishwasher. So I'll do a little bit of that, flip it over. Not quite as hard on this one because I really just want it round here and actually taper here. So I kind of pushing on this a little bit more. Every now and then, get a little tap, make sure everything's nice and symmetrical. No wobbles. If there is, I kind of get those out. Then I'll do a couple palm rolls, make sure it's all smooth on there. But yeah, that's gonna be ultimately the midsection. Later today, I'll hopefully have the head and the butt done and baked. We'll kind of give you some updates along the way, but for now I'm gonna pause and probably start on the booty first, because the head just requires more work and more of these tools. But yeah.
1 hour later.
All right, about an hour later, here we are with some basic shape and texture. We'll get the symmetry all down right once it's been baked. It's hard. I'm just trying to get the texture deep enough to where there's still some left after I sand it all. Oh, I have this totally on back wrong there. There we go. All right. And, it'll sit more flush. It's just, this plate is curved. So this will be like that, and that'll be up, a little bit higher, but the ears are gonna stick up higher than everything else. And ultimately with these wake baits, they ride pretty shallow, depending on how hard you crank. Also how moderate of action your rod is, how much it bends in the middle. More bend will make it actually dive down a little bit harder. Faster retrieves will make it dive down a little bit harder. Again, the symmetry is off a little bit, but I'll be able to block this out and then round sand. Obviously it's a little fatter here, and I could go in and fix all of that, but you put so much time in sanding these after the fact that I just want to get a general shape. I'm not going for perfection here. I'll sand my way to perfection. So you can see, where's that and that aren't exactly, the ears aren't perfectly symmetrical. So what I'll have to do is sand that side a little bit in more, so it's, as big as that section is. It's a little rough on the nose area, but sandpaper cleans all of that up and will make it all look perfectly fine. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and bake it. I might actually do a little bit more detail in this area. I'm not sure, because I might put whiskers in this one, like some short, 80-pound test or 60-pound fluoro type stuff and or copolymer or something and stick it in there as whiskers. But yeah, I might even reduce some of this to slim it down a little bit. I could even reduce some of the head. I'm not too sure yet. But I really wanted a 3-piece, something that moves a little bit more, creates more wake. And then I wanted the ears to be the highest part of this. It's probably a bad angle for you to tell, but the ears are even taller than this area. But I'm hoping those will create a little bit of drag if I am slow rolling it, to also give me some wake action. But yeah, that is where we're at right now. So 2 hours in the oven and then lots of sanding.
A few moments later.
All right, here's kind of what it looks like in the oven. So whenever you bake your clay, you really want to put it on one of those kind of trays, so it's not sitting flat on the pan and it's actually getting air under it. When you bake them flat on the pan, you're gonna risk warping. Like the ends will start to curl up on you. So yeah, good little tip there is use one of those little trays inside of a pan so there's actually a good inch or so under the baits. And what I actually do too is I use one of these like wood burning oven, pizza oven tray kind of things. So what that does is blocks this like brutal heat, soaks it into this pan, and it kind of makes like a mini oven within the oven. It's mainly for cooking wood fire pizza crust on it, but it works great for molding too. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at with that. And next update, I'll show you what they look like when they're actually done baking.
2 hours later.
All right, we are back. It is now hard and baked. And then that little metal tray that I put it on actually leaves indents in it, which I like. It gives it just a little texture, something added on the bottom of them. And then a lot of times I try and line it up where I might want my lip to be. So there's already some type of slot there just from it resting. But you can see it, you know, it's not perfectly symmetrical. Like that right side there is a little fatter in the cheek and not as deep in on the ear socket there. Kind of where the head goes into the nose. You can see I got some cleaning up to do there. This side is pretty rounded on the cheek, so I'll have to take some of that off. Whereas you can see here, I've actually got like, you know, a jawline kind of groove going in here. So I'll have to come bring this down a little bit too. I'm not too terribly worried about the texture, y'all, because you can actually take this polymer clay. I know I kept mentioning copolymer earlier, but this is just called polymer clay. But you can soak this in water for like a minute or so, and it'll actually get this soft again to where you can retexture any areas that you do sand over smooth. But you can see, again, like that right side, it's a little more rounded off. I need to bring that back in a little bit. This shape is good. It's really just going to come down to making that symmetry a little bit better. And I need to bring this in on both sides just so right now I've got an up and down space kind of going, but I need more of this way. So I just need to take a little off of here and a little off of here, and I'll have up and down and this way pretty good. Not really going to do anything angle wise on here. I'm just going to leave the connecting point and, you know, the 1/4 of an inch space that it usually has as wiggle room there. I kind of want this to stay pretty connected to this. So a lot of the movement from the lip is right at this point and then coming into here, flinging that off really hard. That's my idea, at least. We'll see how that kind of works out. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now. A little sanding, a little shaping. You know, you can kind of see it looks like this is turned over a little bit in comparison to this head. But again, it's just, you take a piece of sandpaper and you go back and forth, you know, put this in a vise and just, you're making like all around throughout this, and you get your symmetry that way. It doesn't have to be perfect right out of the oven. And then the other thing that's cool about this one too is with the texture, like I don't have to sand it down to glass and spend all that extra time, you know, making it perfect as far as symmetry goes, because it's going to be textured and painted to look like hair ultimately. So I'll do a dark color base to fill in the indentions, and then shadow spray over it with lighter, and then you take like an X-Acto knife or, you know, straight edge, whatever you want to use, and you slit your paint lines over and over and over, and it creates like a furry looking paint job. And just add the dimples in on top of that technique, and you just come out with a really furry, textury, live looking hairy bait there. So that's ultimately why it looks so dimpled and rough, just to make it look textured and 3D on there. I would love to call this the bull rat, but as y'all know, the legend Boca already has the bull rat. So I think what I'll end up calling it is the rug rat, and I'll end up putting soft plastic feet on here, like little trailer feet. So it kind of has like a little rug bottom look to it. And then as far as the tail goes, I'm just gonna keep it simple on this guy. And I'll put a metal pin in it and soft plastic trailer, like a worm trailer. But yeah, that is kind of where we're at on this guy. Actually, I did some sanding on this and got it smoother and connected down, rounded off so it doesn't look as 3D and janky as it did before. Yeah, we're coming along. I've gone to so many places local looking for 30A silicone, and I've been coming up empty-handed on local silicone options. So hopefully we'll either find 30A local, something that's at least labeled 30A. Like Michael's has a ton of silicone, but nothing is labeled 5A, 10A, 15A, or 30A. So I didn't feel comfortable buying anything from there. It was also quite a bit more expensive than just getting it online. So it's just gonna have to resort to giving Amazon more of my money to get this done ultimately. But yeah, that's where we're at. For now, I'm still having fun making clay blanks to eventually get molded. I think next I'll do like a duck, a little topwater duck or something like that. Maybe a frog, I don't know. Frogs are pretty complicated. There's a lot of shape and line and muscle and joints, and yeah, so that might be last on my list. But for now, we are having fun. I hope everyone's having a great weekend, great holiday weekend, safe weekend with your family and your friends. If you're traveling, do it sober, stay safe, keep your eyes wide open for other crazies out there on the road, because I know they exist in Texas, that is for sure. But other than that, I hope you all have a great weekend, great holiday, and until next time, yeet.